Good afternoon, everyone. There are more seats. If you want to work your way down into the middle, you're welcome to do that. But we're going to go ahead and get started. And so let me just begin by saying we just completed a very successful year on all of our campuses and as a system. And so it's a pleasure to be able to give this talk today. I want to do two things over about the next 15 minutes. First, I want to go through some of the accomplishments of last year and highlight some of the good things that have occurred at the university. I think it's important that we celebrate those things when they occur, and we have lots to celebrate today. And then second, I want to talk about some of the challenges and opportunities that we face and share with you the direction that I've given your Chancellor and her team for the coming year. And then Dr. Lawler will come behind me and talk about some of those challenges and opportunities we face and share with you in more detail both how her team is going to approach those, and also talk about some of the specific accomplishments of this campus over the past year, talk about the goals for 2019 and 20, and then we're both happy to take questions on any topic, whether we covered it or not. That's what a town hall meeting is. And so begin thinking. If you have questions, this is your opportunity to ask either of us anything that's on your mind. And then I hope you'll stay around for the community reception that immediately follows in this building, correct, Shirley? Yeah. 2 doors down, can't miss that. So come by, have a cup of punch or a cookie, and visit with us some more. So let me start on the accomplishment side. And so when I think about the accomplishments for last year, one really stands out. Frankly, our board chair, Gabe Gore, believes this is the most important thing we were able to have achieved in the last 14 years since the name change went about. You all know that we were funded on a per-student basis below every other university in the state, and we made a push last year to catch up and change that. And because of some really good work that had been going on for multiple years with both campuses engaged, we were able to successfully get a significant bump of $10 million in our appropriations. That's a big deal, guys. That benefits this campus. We have a governing policy that divides that money between the two campuses, and so the gross amount received by Missouri State West Plains this year above their appropriation from last year, $671,658, and that's real money. And so very pleased with that, and it has caught us up so that we're not at the bottom. We're not at the top, we're not even quite into the middle, but we're at least in the game. And so very pleased about that. Speaker of the House, Elijah Harr, had a huge piece of that. State Senator Lincoln Huff, State Senator Mike Cunningham, who are on the Senate Appropriations Committee, had a huge piece of that. And so when you see Mike, and he is often in West Plains, tell him thank you. They did really good work for us this year. I think our students would tell you, if we go to the next slide, this is a really important achievement as well. We, as a system, delivered 5,740 credentials last year. That's an all-time record. You see the Springfield line on the top line, and then the certificates combined. I talk about on the Springfield campus that we were right at 5,500 credentials. That's a record for us. That's important to our students that they get across the finish line. It's important to our state that we are involved in producing young professionals that are ready to go off into the workforce. In terms of enrollment through spring of last year, and then we'll talk about what fall enrollment looks like here, both of us will in a minute. Springfield campus set its 7th enrollment record in a row. West Plains bumped down a little bit. It was the 3rd year in a row we were above 26,000 students as a system. Preview We flipped that a little bit. West Plains had growth over fall of 19, and the Springfield campus bumped down slightly. We're still above 26,000 students, but again, that strength in enrollment is something really to be proud of, because it occurs during a time over the last 8 years. There are 12% fewer people going to higher education institutions of any kind than there were in 2011. And so when you grow in that circumstance, that's a particularly strong achievement. And we're counting 2011. I like to use that number because that's when I started. So I like to think nothing happened before I was here. And so we kind of count everything as beginning. The world was created in 2011, and that's how we judge things. All right, if we go to the next side, obviously we're in the business, besides graduating people, as a focus on academics. Nothing more important than that. On the Springfield campus, we were able to name one of our colleges. The McQuarrie family came through with a tremendous legacy gift that will be game-changing, will allow us to expand healthcare programs, expand our facilities there. Very excited about that. We have our first cohort of mechanical engineering students on campus. And we're able to get some additional funding from both the state as well as Missouri S&T that partners with us on that, the federal government through the EDA to fund the completion of the Plaster Center that houses the engineering program. So we've got about 40 new mechanical engineering students on campus. Kind of the other end of that spectrum, we had our first cohort of developmentally disabled students, 8 students living on campus within the general population. They did great, and they're all back for the fall, and there's been a lot of excitement about their success. That's a 5-semester credential program with the goal being that those folks are prepared to live independently on their own when they're done with that program. And so we're off to a good start there. Our College of Arts and Letters was able to transition through significant private donations to become an all-Steinway school. That completely changes the game for them in terms of recruiting quality students. We're into the process of our first non-healthcare doctorate at the university. Again, as we raise the profile of the university as a whole, that benefits all of the campuses in the system. And then I'll show you some charts on our international student population in Springfield here in a minute. But we really retooled how we're offering those programs. Fewer students, particularly from Asia, are willing to come to America to study. And so we've began thinking about how do we deliver more of those programs in the home country and that they spend a piece of their time here. And so Shirley and I will be off to China this weekend as we celebrate the beginning of one of those 2+2 programs at Southwest University. It's a top 10 university in China, where our students are going to study plant science, mostly in China for the first 3 years, and then come to Springfield for their 4th year. And that should generate about 150 students a year through that program. Again, it's through changing strategies that we were able to continue to be successful on the international front. Going to the next slide, affordability remains very important for all of our students. I'm confident that's true on the West Plains campus as well as the Springfield campus, and we continue to work to keep increases at or below inflation, and we were able to accomplish that over the last 2 years. We continue to work on the diversity of our faculty and staff. Our board is set. We had under this 5-year plan, we had a goal of getting to 14%. We achieved that in year 2 of the plan, and so now we've reset our goal at 16%, and we made some progress on that last year. And then, and it's really important, category of external support. And so the first number is the foundation. That's gifts. Many of you in the room give to the foundation. We have one foundation that supports the whole system, and if you designate your gift to a particular program here at West Plains, the money comes here. But so that money in that first column has significant money that was designated for West Plains here. Importantly, first year ever that we have had 2 years in a row where we were above $20 million. That's the goal, is that's always our base and now, and that we're growing from there. And so good achievement on that. Grants and contracts set a record, $32,800,000. Again, you all have money in that pool. In fact, Shirley and Dennis and Amy and I were just with Tom Keller at Ozarks Medical Center, and he delivered the first $100,000 check of a $300,000 commitment for us to work to expand our nursing program. That money for next year will go in that grants and contracts column. That's just an example of the money that's coming in. Shirley will talk more about that when she gives her talk. You know, we used to say we wanted to be at $40 million on the combined numbers here, and so now we have a new floor. Apparently it's now $50 million. And so very pleased with that. After kind of a really challenging year, if we go to the next slide, we did make some gains on compensation. We know that's the number one issue among all our employees wherever they work, and so we were able to do both a January and a July cost of living increase or raise. Between the two of those categories, everyone got at least a 3% increase, and we're also, most of our students that work on the minimum wage, we were able to put money towards that to track the new state minimum wage that's going to go up every year. We're exempted from that. We don't have to increase that. We can set our own rate, but we think it's important that we keep up with the rate that the state has set for us. And so both campuses invested money into making sure all of our employees, including our student employees, are receiving at least the state minimum wage. So, as you can see, many good things have occurred over the past year despite challenges our campus has faced, but there still are areas that we want to work on. And on this campus, these are the areas of work that I have asked Dr. Lawler to develop plans and strategies to address and then to begin executing those plans. You're obviously an important part of proposing those strategies and executing those solutions. And if we think about stabilize enrollment and increase retention, graduation, transfer, and course completion rates, you made progress on all of those last year, and you'd be commended for that. Job well done. The word stabilize, though, implies that we've got to keep it year after year after year. And so there's more work to be done there, but you had a tremendously good year last year, and Shirley will show you some of those numbers when she's up here. I already talked about expanding technical and allied health programs. That is underway, and I want to commend Amy Ackerman for the good work that her team has done on expanding our nursing programs. The non-traditional students, let me just put this out here, guys. If you are 25 years old, if your household income last year was less than $40,000, whether you've been in school for the last 2 or 3 years or not, you can apply to the state for tuition funding. So if you're outside of the A+ program and you're back in school as a non-traditional student and you're at a community college, it's almost a certainty that you can get state funding to help with tuition. We need to get that word out, and we've tasked Shirley and her team to work to make sure that word gets out, and then we obviously need to continue to work together on many things, because that's the benefit of being in a system. We have the ability to provide services, expert services in a whole variety of areas to help us be successful. So items 1, 2, and 4 are carryover items from last year, and we will build on the good work that was done last year. Item 3 is new, and Dr. Lawler will address the details of all these matters shortly. I will tell you the Springfield campus will be working on all of those things as well. Our main focus will be on enrollment, both recruitment of new students and retention of existing students. And in part, that's because for the first time in 8 years, the Springfield campus did not grow. While we were up in some categories of students, as you can see for this, we were down overall. The drop was about 1%. It's 0.7% as a system. So again, as numbers come out this week, you're going to see almost all universities, 2- and 4-year schools, are going to be down this year because there are fewer high school graduates, there are fewer students transferring, there are fewer non-traditional students because of full employment. And so I think these numbers are still reasonably good. You'll see for the 4th year in a row, Springfield campus has been above 24,000 students. and for the fourth year in a row, the system as a whole has been above 26,000 students. So on the Springfield campus, we did have some good numbers in several areas. We have the most graduate students that we've ever had. And that's an area that we want to lean into and believe can continue to grow. Many of the graduate programs have significant demand, particularly in the healthcare field, that we think there's more growth there. If we turn to the international students, you all probably know, if you're following Chronicle articles or just generally aware of what's happening in America, there are fewer and fewer international students coming to the United States, and that's been true for the last 3 years. We topped out there at 2016 with 1,673 international students. Most of those are on the Springfield campus. A piece of them are other places as we deliver programs to students in foreign countries, and they receive both a degree from their home institution as well as from us. And so we challenged 2 years ago, as we saw the fall off, because of their challenges of getting visas to come to America. There are challenges of getting work visas if you graduate from an American university. There's a perception that there is significant gun violence here and it's unsafe to come to America from the shooting media coverage that is around the world. There's a perception that America is now unwelcoming to immigrants. Whether those things are true or not matters less than the perception that they're true. And so we've seen across the country kind of 10% drops each of the last 3 years in international students coming here, and they're choosing to go to Canada or the United Kingdom or Australia or other places that are perceived to be safer and more welcoming. And so we tasked our folks, okay, we can just decide that we're just going to gradually bump down on our international students, or we can change our strategies. We can work to develop new partners and new countries and different delivery methods. And when we did that, when we changed strategies, when we were willing to think beyond what we've always done that had been successful, we bent that curve back up this year, and I'm really proud of Jim Baker and his team for the work they have done on that. And I think they present kind of the pattern for all of us, rather than saying, well, there's really nothing we can do on enrollment, there are just fewer people coming out. It's not true. We have some ability to control and influence what students come to us. And then finally, as I imagine many of you know, it's not a surprise that we would both be up in dual credit students, because we rolled out a really important access program this fall in Springfield for our Springfield Public School partner in West Plains, for all of their partners in this area, that if you were a free and reduced lunch student, you could take dual credit without cost. We didn't think that was going to cost us any revenue, because those students weren't paying for it by and large anyway, but they were in those classes. And so now we have an opportunity to have a different batch of students that can prove to themselves they can do college, and that we can then work to attract to our campuses. And so that piece has been important. If we look at the retention numbers, we're solid as to where we are, kind of right in that 77 to 78 number for the last 4 years. But what I've challenged our folks to do is to do better. We haven't been able to move the needle on that, and frankly, we should be above 80%, given the kind of university that we are. And again, doing the same thing is going to help keep us here as opposed to declining, but we need to figure out, and we know some things that we can do to move that number, and so I hope to see that number move in the next several years. And then there's some, our number one goal this year on Springfield campus will be to halt the decline in new full-time undergraduate students, as well as to work on that retention rate, and I believe that we can. Here are some of the short-term actions that are already underway on the campus to work to do that very thing. This campus will have that same focus, as it is that same group of students that we are down on here. And Shirley may talk about that. Our first time new in college, those students coming with us, sitting in our classes right out of high school, we've bumped down. And because we've gone up in other areas, online students, dual credit students, it masks the fact that we lost 60 or 70 students directly from high school. On the Springfield campus, we were down 400 students. Those students are really important because they are full-time students, and they pay full-time tuition, and that's critical to the revenue side. It's also critical, I think, to our profile to continue to want to have stable, moderate growth as we move forward. Let's go to the next slide. So we'll be working in Springfield to create a strategic enrollment management plan. That will be a Springfield-specific plan to outline our long-term strategies in the recruitment and retention area. That effort will be led by Rob Hornberger with campus-wide involvement. Here's the structure we've created. There'll be many subgroups working under the Recruitment Council. And I've told our team we need to be successful. The funding of compensation increases, program expansion and support, student success, and the profile of the university all depend on it. Frankly, the economic vitality of our state depends upon it as well. We will share this result with the folks here on West Plains, and you all will take with it what fits and works for you as you develop your own long-range plan. Shirley and several folks from her team were on campus in Springfield yesterday for our strategic enrollment management rollout and interaction with our consultant to make sure they had all the information relative to this initiative. So let me finish up with this last slide here. And these are kind of the other things that we're going to work on this year. On the Springfield campus, obviously we have a metric where we want to continue to award at least 5,200 degrees credentials every year. Our goal is to begin the construction of Jordan Valley Innovation Center and its expansion. That's our research park downtown. We're in the final stages of putting the financing model together with a private developer, the city, and businesses to roll that out. That will come with it in the next couple of years, a daylighting of Jordan Creek, and we think it'll be a catalyst to significant development in the region. We need to promote our interdisciplinary educational and research opportunities. So we have this great research facility, we have the E-Factory, and yet those programs have not been very connected to the academic programs as they should be, and so we have a goal to make progress on that this year. We'll work to expand high-demand programs and add new programs. We are finishing up, and we'll have the results from a climate study that we did last semester to see what how welcoming we are to all sorts of groups of students and employees, and so that will be a topic for our board to take up in October. We will be launching a comprehensive campaign to raise private money for the whole system. More to come on that this fall. Of course, we'll be trying to build on the success we had in the legislature last year. We'll continue to look at the affordability angle, and we're always looking to increase efficiency, and by that we often mean reallocating resources to those areas that need them the most. If we're successful in those things, that last bullet point there should follow. So if I were to conclude, I would say that Missouri State will continue to focus on growth, completion, affordability, access, economic development, community engagement, inclusion, efficiency, and fundraising this year. The strength and profile of our university has never been greater than it is now, and this campus is obviously an important part of that profile. I look forward to us all making progress together on these goals this year. It is important to the university, our employees, and most importantly, our students. And then I will now pass the baton to Shirley for her to talk more specifically about things happening here and will happen in the future at West Plains. Shirley?
Thank you, President Smart, for that update and those words of encouragement. We're excited to be a part of a university system that supports this 2-year open door institution. And thank you all for being here today. It's great to see all of our community partners, our staff, our faculty, to turn out to listen to our highlights from this past year. As I stood here last year, I gave you quite a great explanation of why all 2-year institutions in the state of Missouri are down in enrollment. Because we have a good economy going, we have full employment, smaller graduation classes, and I could go on and on. But I'm here today to say Missouri State University West Plains is up 5% today. So, to you, our staff and faculty have worked so very hard to pull that number up, and we are thrilled that we're positive today. So starting out on a good note and going through and what great highlights we've had. It's been an interesting year. It's been much to accomplish, but it's been a good year. And as we take a look back very quickly with me, if you'll just take a walk back down memory lane. This time last year, you were opening Hasdar Hall with us and cutting the ribbon. This came from a generous donation from Mary Schrog and the William R. Hass family and William and Virginia Darr, staunch supporters of Missouri State University. We truly have a student union now. I don't know if you have walked through that building, but there is a beautiful bookstore. There is a coffee shop that's there not just for students and faculty, but for you as community members. All of our admissions, our honors program, our veterans, our math lab, our writing lab. So walk through that facility and take a look at the many, many activities. Many of you have attended activities there this year. We could not have been more pleased that the governor chose West Plains to roll out his fast track program. So please get by and see that facility if you haven't been in it since it's been completed and totally furnished. The GoCat apprenticeship. Let's start there. Last fall, we went to work again, continuing to increase the programs there. The U.S. Department of Labor certified registered apprenticeships. Our first class started in January. Our second class started in March. We have 9 students out in the field today. We recently met with Leonardo DRS, and they reported those students are doing an excellent job, as well as Jasper Industries. I hope most of you have been through GoCat. What a great facility that is. And that is probably one of the strongest rural partnerships I've ever seen. It is a partnership between the city of West Plains, Jack, thank you very much, and Tom, and all the partners from the city. R7, South Central Career Center, Josh, front and center. The director of our Workforce Investment Board, Garland Barton, is always at the table with us, as well as our Director of Economic Development with a 2-year institution working to, as we say here, an important step in the evolution of workforce development, that piece that we're adding to the institution. Then we move forward into the spring, and in June, we opened the police substation. Again, another great partnership. Partnership is the word for the day in my comments here. The police substation was established in Drago Hall, which used to be our college bookstore. Again, the city of West Plains opened a substation there. We now have a presence of the police force here on campus. The police chief, Stephen Monticelli, has been great in working with the campus. He's met with faculty and staff, and we feel like that's another layer of security the campus did not have. If you have not stopped by, please go in. I think you'll be surprised. Large screen monitors on the wall monitoring the buildings, the parking lots. It's just added another layer of security that we did not have. The amphitheater. It is completed, and our faculty broke that in on September the 6th as we all gathered out there for our faculty and staff welcome back. We will totally, truly break it in on October the 15th when we have a fall festival, and we hope you'll join us. We'll have the West Plains Marching Band down on the field in front of the amphitheater. We'll have food trucks and entertainment for the children, and we'll have a small band up on the stage. And again, we want the community to come out and enjoy that facility with us. Remember that your civic organization, any group that you're affiliated with, contact our business office, Scott Schneider, and we would be happy to take a look at your group having a role there. That is for the community. Student awards. We are so very proud of our students and the faculty members that our faculty support many organizations on this campus. We highlight 2 here, Phi Beta Lambda and our agriculture students, both placed at state and national competitions this year. So we have a lot of devoted faculty that help to sponsor those groups. Speaking of funding, as President Smart spoke of earlier, we have worked on multiple grants this year. Most of these are out of Dr. Lancaster's area, and he and his staff have worked very hard. Just running down through some of those very quickly. The National Science Foundation Worker 4.0 helped us with our GO-CAT programs. Jim Hart and Kathy Boyes were at the center of that. On our National Science Foundation grant for the spectrometer, that is a nuclear magnetic resonance. Did I get it right, Kip? This is one of the most powerful tools available to a chemist to examine the structure of molecules. Are we not fortunate for our students to have that? And Kip, thank you for being the primary investigator on that, along with, I think, Sharath helped you with that grant. So again, multiple grants were written this year and funded. Our Perkins, our TRIO grant, our adult education and literacy, our MOExcel, the $250 for nursing. Again, we've talked about our nursing program and doubling our enrollment there. So many grants have helped us. This year, our budget, as we have wrapped up, and we have just wrapped up FY19 that ended June 30th, and our revenue has more than covered our expenses, and we're thrilled that we're in good shape. Other campus highlights, again, Ozarks Medical Center. Tom Keller agreed that he would contribute $100,000 a year. Amy, correct me if I misspeak. $100,000 a year, and between now and the next 3 years at the most, we hope to double the size of the nursing students we turn out. Now, we not only have those seated cohorts that we bring through, but we also have an online program bridging LPNs to the RN. So currently now we have about 35 nursing graduates a year, 10 in the bridge program. We hope to expand that to about 70 nursing students with about 30 or more. We will have well over 100 students. So we hope that OMC has a huge expansion going on right now, so we hope to be able to be their primary supplier of nurses. And we have the nursing accreditation listed there because we did get such an outstanding review there. Again, very proud of that program. Ozarks Teacher Corps Scholarship. The Community Foundation of the Ozarks funded 8 students this year. They scholarshiped 8 students. Those 8 students are not only here to study teacher education and become teachers, but they want to stay in the rural districts. We would love to become a destination spot for individuals, young students who want to come here and teach. They want to become a teacher and they want to return to their home of West Plains, Willow Springs, Ava, Mountain Grove, Kabul, Mansfield, Gainesville. They want to stay in a rural community. Community Foundation of the Ozarks is very interested in that Rural Schools Initiative, and they've scholarshiped 8 students. So this is our first year, so stay tuned. This summer, we had our faculty get very involved in the Summer Scholars Academy, Jacob Paulette, Jerry Trick, Kathy Boyes and some others led that charge. 6th through 8th grade students very involved in some wonderful projects here on campus. So next year, watch, we will grow that. On move-in day on August the 17th, we had a young lady. We moved into the lofts, and I asked her where she was from, and she was from Chicago. Well, how did you make it to West Plains? She spent summers with her grandmother in West Plains, and she came to kids camp. And she loved West Plains. So we will be growing that Summer Scholars Academy. The free dual credit course for students on free and reduced lunch programs, Michael Orff has worked that program hard. Folks, it's primarily why we are up today. We are up today about 24% with dual credit and about 18% online. So we're thrilled about that. And primarily, I'll speak for myself, those students studying in high school classes where a dual credit option is available, and they're on free and reduced lunch. If they're on free and reduced lunch, they probably don't have the money to pay for a college credit, a dual credit course. So we've offered it to them free of charge. We will recruit those students heavily and try and convince them to come and join us on the campus of a 2-year institution. Looking at some of our data, again, 2019, we're setting at 1963. Our credit hours are right at level, just under a little, and we still have a little more dual credit to come in. So I'm hoping that will be, rather than down about a 0.5 percentage point on dual credit, on credit hours, we hope will be level there. Our retention rate from fall to fall, for fall 1917 to fall, I'm sorry, 1917. Yeah, okay, good laugh there. 2017 to 2018, we took a dip. We only retained 50.6, and we don't know why we took the dip. We've analyzed that. Whatever we did, we know we've got to have strategies in place so that we don't take that dip. And I think everyone is painfully aware we can recruit students and recruit, but if we can't retain them, we're missing the mark. We've got to bring them on campus and keep them 2 years so that they can graduate and transfer successfully. We're going in the right direction. 2018 to 2019, we're headed in the right direction. This is preliminary. This is very early to even be presenting this data, but Carrie took a look at the iPad's data, and preliminary data looks like we are trending upward, so that's good. 3-year completion or transfer rate. We're a 2-year institution, and so we always judge this on time and a half. Most 2-year, 4-year individuals many times don't finish on time, so we calculate it on time and a half, and for us that's a 3-year completion rate. Again, we had dropped, but looking at that 2015 to 18 period of time, again, we're headed in the right direction. This is for full-time first-time freshmen. Full-time first-time freshmen who come to our institution, do they finish up in 3 years or less? And we'll see what our rate is this next go round, but we're headed, we hope, in the right direction. Course completion rates, those students completing with a C or better, or a pass if the course will allow a pass-fail grade. Again, headed upward. 77% in the fall of 2018, again, very preliminary. We're still doing a wash on that, but it would appear that we are moving in the right direction. We're doing some good things. Looking at student diversity. The student diversity for this region is only at or the diversity period is only about 5%. Now this is continues to be a priority for us. It continues to be something that we work on a regular basis, but our preliminary data again looks like we're holding at about 9.8. We've been consistent around that 10% mark for our student diversity. Faculty and staff, again looking at our underrepresented groups, we have dropped. And so again, it continues to be something that we feel is a very important initiative, and we work toward increasing those numbers. Let's talk very quickly about the 4 initiatives that have been, we have chosen to take on as our priorities. Stabilize enrollment. Where do we decide that we have stabilized? What number do we need to arrive at? We currently, again today, are up 5%. We want to continue to look at growing that. We would love to hit that 2,000 mark as a minimum. This past year, we've started to work with Complete College America, which promotes a pathways approach. When our students come to us, we have a very clear pathway carved out for them. So that will help guide them through. We'll do some very intentional advisement. I used to use the term intrusive advisement, but they've told me to quit using intrusive advisement and start using intentional advisement. We've established and promoting a Grizzly Care Team. That's a behavior intervention team. All faculty, staff, all employees can give input into the Grizzly Care Team to monitor students who need assistance. They're struggling. For one, whether it is academically, personally, privately, emotionally, they need assistance. We're enhancing and expanding our marketing strategies. We're currently advertising for a marketing person to help us with our digital content specialist to work with the social media aspect of promoting the institution. And we are preparing to look at hiring an online program coordinator and instructional designer. Again, part of our enrollment jump has been online. We feel like we have an excellent product to present to the students, and online is up about 18%. Expand our technical and allied health programs. Again, we hope to increase our nursing program to well over 100 students within the next 2 to 3 years. Ozarks Medical Center has been an incredible partner on that. The state has helped us with assistance with $250,000, nearly $250,000 in funds, so we'll continue to grow that program. We'll look at other additional academic programs, and we have listed a few there, and look at where our students are wanting programs and listening to our students and thinking outside the box at the modalities and how we deliver those programs. So expanding technical and allied health programs. Develop strategies to enroll non-traditional students, and again, as Clif mentioned, the Fast Track Workforce Incentive Grant Program can be a game changer. If you know, perhaps you have someone in your household or you go to church with or lives next door to you that is 25 years or older and make less than $40,000 a year, their tuition could be paid if they pursued a certain program, and we have all that information. If you'd like to contact us, we can get you that information. The Missouri Department of Higher Ed has a website that the students can go on and fill out paperwork. You don't have to be 25 years or older. You can be 21 years. You can be younger than that. But if you walked away from school and haven't been in school for 2 years and you've decided you'd like to go back to school, you could be a current student. And if you meet the criteria, you could be eligible for this tuition incentive. So we'll work with area business and industries. Many of you business and industry leaders may have individuals who need to skill up, but they don't have the money. Perhaps we can get some information to them. We're going to do some targeted marketing. We're contacting our current non-traditional students who might be sitting here but would fit this program. We printed a list from IT of all the students who have stopped out, dropped out, and need to go back to school but don't have the funds. Fast Track could be a game changer for our region. We're so thrilled the governor chose West Plains to roll that out. So help us get the word out on that program. Finally, item number 4, we continue to coordinate operations between the West Plains and Springfield campuses. We could not operate without calling on our colleagues on the Springfield campus, whether it's legal counsel, human resources, the chief financial officer, enrollment management. A team of 5 of us went up yesterday and received some very valuable information. We've cooperated with them on a Title III grant that, again, could be very valuable to this campus if that grant is awarded. And our IT department tells me constantly what a tremendous resource that is. So it is great to be part of a system where we can pull down from those human resources that are available to us from the Springfield campus. Again, we are thrilled that you're here today. You've been incredibly supportive this past year, and thank you for listening to these updates this afternoon.